It's always great having Erin Blanchfield back here on the program, who's still going to be fighting at UFC 269. She's just going to be taking on a new opponent in Miranda Maverick. Erin, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing awesome. Good to see you're still on this card. Like I talked about it there. You're supposed to fight Macy Barber. Now you're fighting Miranda Maverick. Much of an adjustment in terms of the new opponent, or how are you sort of looking at this fight now with the switch up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different. The funny thing is they're both lefties, so that kind of stayed the same. And Miranda's a little bit shorter. Like I actually have like a height advantage, which I don't get very often. But other than that, I feel like there's not too much difference.
Now, again, you're supposed to fight Macy. It seemed like you got plenty of notice for that. When did you get word that Macy was out of the fight? Because it kind of I just saw a post on social media and it's like, oh, she's out. And now you're fighting Miranda Maverick. It seemed like it came together pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago. I remember like before it went out publicly, my manager told me that Macy was out, but pretty much like he told me Macy was out, but they're looking for Maverick. So there wasn't really much of like time like waiting. So I kind of knew I was still going to be on the card. So I was kind of happy because that was the only thing I was worried about. I really wanted to get on that card. I wanted to get another fight in this year. But once they put out another name, I was like, yeah, I'll fight whoever. I just want to stay on that card.
Yeah, it's a stack card, and don't blame you for that. Some people felt like Miranda actually beat Macy in her last fight. Were you one of those people? Because, again, it was a pretty close matchup.
Yeah, it was a super close fight. When I watched it, I can see how the judges gave it to Macy. Like, I thought she might have edged it out a little bit. I think it was that second round that a lot of people thought that Maverick could have won because she kind of got her back a little bit at the end. But I think Macy kind of, like, set the pace the rest of that round. She kind of just gave a little bit away at the end, but if I had to pick, I think I would have said Macy too, but it was when you leave a fight that close, you can't really complain, win or lose in that situation. But yeah, it was a tough fight.
And Miranda's an Invicta FC alum like yourself. I'm sure she was on your radar even when you were fighting there back then. So does that make it a bit easier just in terms of an opponent? Because it's not like you're fighting someone off, say, Contender Series or something where maybe you're not as familiar with the opponent.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely. I mean, I kind of wanted to fight Miranda and Invicta. I remember a few times, but it just never happened. So yeah, I've been watching her for a while since I've been in Invicta, so it's been like a few years now. So I'm definitely familiar with her, which kind of makes it easier. Definitely like the switching up the opponents just a few weeks out, but I feel like I've been watching her for a while, so it's not too bad.
Were you guys ever close to fighting in Invicta, or was that never like a thought? I guess you guys were kind of on two different paths at the time.
Yeah, no, we never really got matched up because yeah, we were always like a little bit apart, like in Invicta. But I knew it was always someone like that. Well, I was probably gonna fight eventually because I knew we were both like gonna get to the UFC and stuff like that. So I always kind of kept my eye on her.
And were you a little bit surprised by this matchup? I know the last fight was kind of against a veteran. This fight, it's another prospect, but it seemed like if you're looking at the division, both of you are kind of the two sort of promising prospects in terms of age and on the come up a little bit. Did that surprise you a bit, or do you feel like the UFC is kind of like, we want to see who the better prospect is here?
You know, it didn't surprise me because I remember even when Macy's opponent fell out before like I got that fight, I know she wanted to fight Macy again. So when I knew Macy fell out of the fight with me, I was like, oh, maybe Maverick will want it because I know she was looking to fight anyway. And I mean, we're all gonna have to fight each other anyway. So I feel like why not now?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Let's talk about her though. 9-3 record. Style wise, how do you look at this fight? How do you feel like you match up against her?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she's more of a grappler, kind of similar to myself, but I feel like, and she's pretty well rounded, but I think I'm better everywhere. I think I move better. I think I'm a little bit more fluid. I have better fight IQ. I mean, she's tough and she's good, but I know I'm going to win this one.
For training camp, if things, I mean, I think since the last time we talked, seemed like things have opened up a lot in your area in terms of the COVID restrictions and stuff. So how is your camp looking heading into this fight? Because I know you do like to do some cross training as well.
Yeah, no, it's been good. Similar to my last fight, I've been able to get some girls coming over to like spar with me, like Fatima Klein, who's in Invicta right now, and another girl, Jennifer Lopez, I've been sparring with. She's making her pro debut with CBFC. And yeah, I've been getting my training in. It's been good.
Hold on a second. You train with someone named Jennifer Lopez, really?
Yeah.
Do they also call her J-Lo, or is it just like, yeah?
We'll call her J-Lo and stuff in the gym too. It's kind of funny.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Does she even look like Jennifer Lopez, or no? It's just like similar name.
Oh yeah, I mean she's a Puerto Rican girl too, so they kind of have the same look.
Okay, fair enough. And I know in the past, like you've done some training with like Caitlin Chukagian and some other fighters like that. Is that something? I mean the fight's coming up on the 11th, so kind of running out of time here. But are you getting any work with any of those fighters at all, or just kind of what you were saying there?
Kind of just what I've been saying right now. I mean, there's always like open. We always kind of train with each other whenever we have like time and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been good anyway.
How's your brother doing, by the way? Is he got any fights on the horizon anytime soon?
Actually, he was trying because I know the organization he fought with last time, Dead Serious, they had a show for December 11th, but then when I got my fight, he was going to come corner me, so he couldn't take that one. But we're
Oh,
hoping.
interesting. Okay.
I kind of felt bad because like they didn't have an opponent for him yet, but they were looking for somebody. But then I got this fight with Macy a while ago, and then he couldn't take that one. But I think they're going to try to get him something for the new year.
So you got to get him a good Christmas present then, right?
Yeah, I got to make up for it.
Got to do something there. That makes sense. And I know the weight cut for you is always pretty good, pretty manageable. I saw you with Eat Clean Bro, right? Is that a new sponsor?
Yeah, it's a new sponsorship. My like wrestling coach kind of set it up for me. He knows like the guy that owns Eat Clean Bro, and I always seen them like because they sponsor a few other like UFC fighters and stuff in this area. But yeah, I'm excited to be working with them.
Your corner, who will be in the cage with you that night?
It's gonna be the same people I always do. It's gonna have Frankie Roberts, my jiu-jitsu coach, Augie Matthias, my striking coach, and then my brother Brendan Blanchfield is coming out.
Awesome. And how do you envision the fight playing out between the two of you? Because obviously Miranda's pretty tough to finish. I know you like to finish your fights, so that's what kind of makes this fight interesting.
Yeah, no, of course, I'm definitely gonna be looking for a finish. I feel like there's no rush or anything. I'm gonna feel out the fight, feel where I feel strongest at. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be looking for that finish. I'm excited to like finally be in like a have a whole crowd, have that energy and everything. I think it's gonna be a good one.
Back to you. Obviously, big fight, and I think a good fight for both of you in terms of figuring out where either of you fit in the division. Because again, you're sort of the up and comers in the weight class. Is that kind of how you look at this fight, like a good sort of learning experience for both of you? Because it's not like you're fighting in the deep end, but you're also not fighting like a veteran, which is typically what they do when they have prospects, right?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for this fight. I feel like if I win this fight, I know she's not ranked right now, but she was in the rankings. I feel like when I win, hopefully I'll get into like that top 15 maybe, or my next fight I should definitely be able to get into the rankings. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good one.
A lot going on in your division right now. What did you think of Talia Santos getting that first round finish over Joanne Wood? I think a lot of people were pretty surprised that she finished the fight that quickly.
Yeah, I feel like people kind of underestimate Santos. I feel like she flies under the radar, and she has been for a while. I feel like that was a good win for her. I feel like she's probably like the next one they're probably going to try to set up to fight like a Valentina, I would assume. She's pretty tough. She's pretty well rounded. But yeah, I mean, I expected her to beat Calderwood. I definitely would have called that, but I didn't think she would like finish her like that easy. But yeah, that was a good fight for her.
And yeah, I'm just curious kind of your thoughts on what you think will happen next, because Valentina obviously needs an opponent. There's, I think, three names. There's Santos, who I just mentioned, Manon Furio, the French girl who's been knocking everyone out. She's looked really good. And then you've got Andrea Lee, who is coming off a huge win over Cynthia Calvillo. You also have Jessica Andrade in the mix somewhere, even though Andrade just fought for the title, right? But what are sort of your thoughts on some of the other fights that could potentially happen in your division?
Yeah, that girl Marion, I've watched her too. I feel like she would need a few more fights because I feel like her first two UFC fights weren't like she won them, but like they weren't against that good of opponents. Like her other, like that one girl was like a 115er that called in like a week's notice. I think her last fight was definitely like her best win, but it wasn't like I remember watching that fight. I feel like it was a really odd fight. I feel like the other girl was just like taunting the whole time and wasn't actually like fighting that much, and she was just like jabbing her to death. But I mean, she's pretty good. She's tall. She's lanky. Andrea Lee. I mean, I know she beat Cynthia, but I feel like Cynthia's ranked super high, like higher than she really should be. I think because she beat Jessica in that one fight, and then Jessica was like number one at the time. But I think I don't think she should be ranked that high. And then yeah, I think Santos out of those like three, I think is definitely the best one, and probably should be the one to fight Valentina like sooner, maybe like one or two more fights down the road.
Okay.
But yeah, it's kind of like my idea on that.
Well, of course, I can ask all these questions to you as far as like analyzing the division, because I saw you did some commentary. How was that? What was that last weekend? I think.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago. I did like some commentating. I did like post fight like interviews at like Hudson Valley Invitational, like a grappling tournament. But yeah, it was super fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. I definitely want to get more experience doing that.
Did it help that, I mean, you and I have done interviews for a couple of years now. I know you've done a lot of media, even before you were in the UFC. How much did that benefit you going into an environment like that? Because I know not everyone's comfortable on camera, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely comfortable like being in camera. It's definitely different doing it from that perspective, because when you're getting interviewed after fights, you don't really have to think about it. You're just like talking, where like I had to think about the questions I want to ask them and stuff like that. So it was definitely different. It was definitely harder than I thought it was going to be, but I feel like once I got into it and I did a few, I felt more comfortable. And I definitely enjoyed it, and I liked the commentating. And I think I actually liked doing the post-match interviews even more. I feel like I liked seeing their reactions and stuff like that right after their wins. But all of it was fun. I liked it.
Is that something you see down the line as far as a career maybe going into broadcasting?
Yeah, I definitely do. I know I kind of been mentioning it for a while, and I was happy that I was able to actually get some like real experience doing it. But it's definitely something I want to do, like even while I'm still fighting and after fighting, kind of get into that.
I know it's not 100% official yet, but it looks like a guy that from near your area, Ally Aquinta. It looks like he might be hanging up the gloves. I know last week on his podcast he kind of hinted that that might have been his last fight against Bobby Green. Did you ever train with Al at all, or are you ever familiar with him? Because obviously he's from your area, so I figured that might be someone you've sort of looked up to maybe in your career.
I did see him once when I went up to Lungos to train with Mizuki. I never really trained with him, but I did always like look up to him. I liked always watching his fights. He was a great fighter. I always admired when he took that fight against Khabib on like that. I think it was like during fight week. He just took
Yeah.
that fight, gave Khabib like a super hard fight, probably harder than most people have. So yeah, I definitely look up to him and like admired him during his career.
And if you ever need to buy a house, he's your guy, right? He does the real estate thing. So there
Yeah,
you go.
definitely.
Always look forward to that. Aaron, thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate it. It's UFC 269, December 11th. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, well, you can follow me on social media, Blanchfield_MMA, and you can see all my sponsors and stuff there. And I also have new merchandise through Millions on there if you guys want to support.